Hey, everybody, and welcome into another episode of the Level Playing Field podcast. It is draft
Come on.
season. The NFL draft is upon us. Congratulations to Fernando
Yeah,
Mendoza to go number one
there you
overall to
go.
the Las Vegas Raiders. Oh,
Scary, really scary, Andrew. I would tell you, they call it. They don't call
it
it Sin
is,
City for no
yeah,
reason.
you
You
know,
know, we got this stud. This stud man, Catholic Christian. Going out to Vegas, man. And I'm like, man, that franchise has been a disaster ever since that move. And they've had guys die in car accidents and the team fall apart. And I mean, they've just totally stunk since they made that move. And I would tell you that's living proof that sports and Las Vegas just don't mix, in my opinion. I think they need to, my position is I think every state, I'm happy that the state has a franchise, but they shouldn't have taken the Raiders out of Oakland. They should have just left them there, and put a new franchise in Las Vegas, because as we speak about on a regular basis, the NFL should have 50 teams in every state, and that's what's creating the NIL. That's been one of our conversations. But that would be living proof of what I'm talking about. The Las Vegas, man, is Sin City. It's terrible that this young man is going to go out there and have that type of temptation. There's a written Ten Commandment. There's an unwritten Ten Commandment that says, "Thou shalt not tempt your neighbor." You know what I'm saying to you? When you got all of the disgusting, sick things happening there, evidently the Raiders are getting drawn to them because they stink. And oh, by the way, you got this Mendoza out in Vegas, right? And it's Sin City, and my concern that this beautiful Catholic Christian is gonna get pulled into all that temptation. Adam and Eve only had to not eat from this special apple of sort, right? And in today's day and age, imagine Adam and Eve having Las Vegas in their backyard. You know what I'm saying to you? You're talking about temptation like there's no temptation. You name it, it's legal in Las Vegas, and it's disgusting. So I'm praying that this young Catholic Christian first round pick, awesome cat, legendary cat, Heisman Trophy winner, like Tim Tebow, goes out to Vegas and is able to turn that Sin City into a Christian-based city, and a guy like him, as dynamic as he is, there's a good chance he could do it. I'm going to pray that he can pull that off. But seeing all those bells and whistles, 300,000 people were at the draft party in Pittsburgh. 300,000 people. So I'm like, what the heck was that? Where and how can those 300,000 people come out and support a draft? And I love Pitt. I'm a University of Pittsburgh guy. I'm a Western Pennsylvania. I love the Pittsburgh people are great. But what I would say to you is that the amount of people that came is like shocking, and my problem I have is the transgression of football on Sundays, taking people away from church, Andrew. We talked about this, Larry. We talked about this in our conversation that that the NFL only had 11, 12 game seasons, right? So now with their expansion, they have 21 game seasons, and guess when all the games are? Like we talked about, Andrew. They're on Sundays. So is the NFL becoming the golden calf? 21, 22 Sundays a year, when before it was a 10 to 12 game season. It was a 3-month season, and they weren't affecting church. As a Christian, I go to church. I try to go to church every Sunday. I don't go every Sunday, but I try to get there every Sunday. And to think, over the years, to have the NFL expand to 21, 22 Sundays, that they take people away from God, away from communion, away from confession, away from all of the great sacraments that the churches have to offer, that's Catholic, Orthodox, and Protestant. And you look at this mental illness right now. If you look at the mental illness right now that's happening throughout America and even in the NFL, Andrew. Some more guys. What? Two guys this year committed suicide, right? Another guy died of a heart attack. I mean, what are your thoughts on the mental illness that people not going to church and taking communion and getting in scriptures is alienating them and isolating them and creating this mental illness crisis that we have, not just with the players, but with the fans. Andrew, what are your thoughts
we
on
talked about this a little bit before we started recording, and I said, like, when I was living out west for a while, and when you're in the Pacific time zone, games start at 10:30. Pre-games start at 8:30. So you're in it before you even wake up. And that's the Sunday. If you're an NFL fan out there, that is Sunday. So you don't even have the opportunity to start your day with your cup of coffee or, going to church or, any type of like reflection or prayer or anything like that. You're just thrown right into the center of the action. And touching on Mendoza really quick as we kind of wrap the conversation into itself, but like Jesus was in the desert for 40 days. He was tempted by the devil. Well, Fernando, you got your you got your wish there, buddy. You want to be a representative. You want to talk the talk and walk the walk. You get the opportunity to show us. And if he, it's well documented his journey from low 3-star recruit up to like Miami not offering him a scholarship. Fighting through Florida with Florida International, Florida Atlantic, and then, eventually getting to Indiana, national champion, Heisman winner, the whole thing. So that whole journey is documented, and I think it's so fitting to have someone of that, I'll say like mental fortitude to get through all those hurdles, and just to say, you know what, you're not going to Buffalo. You're not going to, a nice in a Midwest Pittsburgh. You're not going to a nice city that like has a structure, a good organization. We are going to throw you into the absolute depths. The Raiders have been bad. I mean, when did they go they went to the Super Bowl in 2004, right? And then, or was that it? Who remembers? I mean, we're talking 20 years, like in minimum. And the L.A., Oakland, Vegas, they're a mess. It's a mess of an organization. And I know we've talked about this on other podcasts, how like you have to look at these organizations as businesses, and like there are good CEOs who run really good businesses who help the community and who have like do all the things that like make it a functioning organization. And then there are bad organizations that just break it down, and they move the franchise from like LA, the Raiders, like just like, ingrained in the culture. Yeah, we're going to move to San Francisco. Well, we're actually going to move to Oakland. We're going to move to LA. We're going to tease you for 15 years as we go around doing it. So
let me insert something into that, Andrew. Besides them being terrible organizations, right? They're owned by a Jewish family. Al Davis's family is a Jewish family. And the thing that they have in common with Tim Tebow, of course, was a first round pick, and he done well in Denver. Took him as a rookie, took him to the playoffs in Pittsburgh. John 3:16. He happened in his only playoff game in Tim Tebow's career. He threw for 316 yards, and a bunch of other things, which we covered on one of our last shows, which is awesome, And then we got these great wrestlers in Pennsylvania winning, Penn State University, greatest wrestling ever in the world. Mitchell Messenbrink just won the Heisman Trophy of wrestling, and he's a big John 3:16 guy. But here's my concern. So Tim Tebow gets traded to the Jets, right? New York City, which is the second most evil city next to Las Vegas in America, right?
Hey guys, I want to take a minute to thank our sponsor, Cobalt Construction. Let Julius and his crew build your dreams and move your mountains. They are located in Mount Pocono, Pennsylvania. You can give them a call today at 570-895-3300. 4613 or visit them online at cobalt-construction.com. That's cobalt with a K. They have topsoil, mulch, and everything you need to get your yard ready for the summer season. All right, let's get back to the show.
Tim Tebow shows up there, and they got a Jewish owner too, so he gets canned and gets sent to Philadelphia, where of course they have another Jewish owner. So I'm a little concerned about a great Christian like Tim Tebow getting thrown to the dogs. And by the way, I listened to this idiot Howard Eskin, I believe his name is. I think I ran into the guy once in my life. What a dork. For him to go on the NFL Network and say that Tim Tebow stunk, that guy can't walk straight or talk straight. He's got the audacity on the NFL Network, I saw this, to bash Tim Tebow like he stunk and he had no business being in the NFL and so forth and so on. But maybe it was his bad attitude that affected the Philadelphia Eagles and cut him too.
Howard Eskin is a prime time.
Who's a guy like that? Who's a punk like that to talk
Howard
about Tim
Eskin is a
Tebow?
primetime Negadelphia, pundit. Enough said. That he doesn't deserve the time of day. But
He don't. But I just wanted to mention that connection there. But moving on, let's look. We watch these all these NFL guys, and I'm going to talk about the drug policy, missing Sundays at church. None of the guys in the NFL. Some of the teams still have Catholic mass. I know the Chicago Bears. I think the New York Giants. A couple of teams have a Christian mass before the games on Sundays for some of the players. There's chaplains, right? Dave Pizzoli. Yeah, they all have chaplains. So hopefully on Sunday the guys at least are getting communion and getting church. I hope that's the case. But in essence though, my big concern right now is the suicides that we're seeing and these deaths that we're seeing. A little bit over a month ago, another NFL player shot himself to death. Right, so that's the second or third this year. And then we had another NFL player with the Redskins, a former Redskins player, had a heart attack and died at 54, right? So it just brings me the memory of my roommate and one of my dear friends, Tony Siragusa, who played for the Ravens.
Legend.
He was way overweight. He weighed 350, 360 pounds. When he came to Pitt and was my roommate, he was 250, 260 pounds. And he was a great, he's a Hall of Fame wrestler in New Jersey, by the way, too. And Jimmy Sweeney, another teammate of mine, beautiful kid, man. Both of them died of heart attacks 3 months apart. So here's another kid, NFL guy, and there's been dozens and dozens of NFL football players just strapping over of heart attacks. So what bothers me here is we have a no drug policy in the NFL. What they do is if someone's caught with doping or marijuana or any type of drugs, they slap them in the hand. And they give them a $15,000 fine. The money these guys are making, that's a joke. And then they don't even make it public. And I don't know if they're getting the proper rehabilitation. So getting back to this whole mental illness issue in America today, it's because they're not going to church enough, right? They're not taking the sacraments enough. That's my opinion, and it's very, very evident. And that's not just the players; it's the fans. So what is the end? Mm-hmm. Yeah, but what are they doing? It's been a church tradition to rest on Sundays. I mean, you go back, our parents, my grandparents, everybody on Sunday, man, no one did anything. Now we have these nuts. We got these players playing. We got the fans going. They're not getting in church enough, which I believe is causing the mental illness. So what is the NFL doing to correct that? Well, they're adding more games, right? They're making fans. They're making awards for the fan of the year. So some nut can go and spend all of his money and take his family to a game and this
Dennis,
church.
We were talking about this beforehand. So tell us, as we watch the draft, as we're watching these kids go up there and make their, have their dreams come true. They shake Goodell's hand. It's a big show. It's a big production. That's the entry, right? That's your entry into the league. And they want to make it look as special as humanly possible, right? They want to make it look bigger than life, right? That's the draw, right? Not only for the players, but for the fans. They want to part their pick. So with that, tell us, you were talking about the insurance policies and all of that, and how now at the other side of it, as you exit the league, not only no one knows this. This is like inside baseball type conversation here. But like when you're in the league, you're not on like the insurance policy or like the retirement plan or something until like you hit year 3, 4. You got to get that second contract. So if you're a practice player, you're not guaranteed anything. And then based off of what you were telling me, so you can expand on this, but like people from the past, players from the 90s, early 2000s, now they're suffering from all these head injuries, all these not only mental, head injuries, but like physical. Like you're running into grown men for 15 years, you're gonna have problems as you age. So
here's the NFL's policy. Yeah. So here's the NFL's policy. You play 5 or 6 years. When you turn 65, you get an extra. You get an extra retirement, right? But here's the thing, though, Andrew. The guys that played during that era, Tony Siragusa was the lowest paid starting defensive lineman in the NFL. He made $65,000 a year, right? And all the guys back in that era, that's all they made. They weren't making this sick money that the guys are making now. And then after as soon as you're done playing, they don't give you no health insurance. So everyone knows how health insurance has skyrocketed. You understand? And a lot of these guys have health conditions, pre-existing health conditions, which make it an issue. So the NFL cuts them off of their Blue Cross and their health insurance right away. They don't get nothing. So we got these guys who played that are in their 50s and 60s now, and they have health issues, and they don't have no money coming in, and a lot of them are struggling. Right. You understand? So the NFL should be reaching out and helping those guys. Those are the guys that built the NFL, not this dork Goodall who makes $70 million a year.
This is it's funny. It's funny at this point. It's not funny. The actual situation isn't funny, but you have to laugh at the fact that you were having a conversation about like this entity, the NFL, that is making billions of dollars, tens of hundreds of billions of dollars every single year, right? And Roger Goodell's annual salary is $70 million.
It's sick.
So just really quick,
and the only reason,
really just as we said with the colleges and all the things, and like don't cry poor to me anymore, right? We showed how like if Penn State's they have 32 Division I sports, their net profit is like $200,000 a year. They're in the green. Alabama, who has 16 Division I programs, is making $32 million a year. Don't cry poor to me. Don't tell me you don't got money. Don't just allocate it better and actually do something for somebody else. Anyway, go on. That's my rant.
I hear a few points. Few points in response to you. Goodall, $70 million. But they can't pay. They can't pay the former players to make sure they all got health insurance. They can't look out, and it's those former players that built the NFL. Goodall done nothing for the NFL. He's a dork. What do you ever do? And he's making $70 million a year, and he's hugging these guys. I'm watching. He's hugging these guys. Oh, by the way, one of them from Clemson was a wrestler, one of the first-round picks from Clemson. A little bit that I watched like 5 minutes. The kid from Clemson was a wrestler. God bless him. First-round pick, big-time offensive lineman. They need to get more wrestlers in professional football, man. That's what it's all about. But anyway, so Andrew, he's making $70 million a year, and a guy who played in his 50s just had a heart attack. Goose, those guys. Goose was doing all right because he was a Fox commentator.
With the personality. That's where he was able to. But how many of those opportunities are there for these people?
But here's the thing: not enough, Andrew. Not enough. If this Goodall, I can't stand him. He never played football in his life. But that makes me sick that he's making all this money and hugging these young guys like, oh, I care about you. Like, no. Shake the guy's hand, And I was impressed by the way the guys were dressed. Everybody looked professional. But getting back to these athletes, Andrew, they all got to run the 40. Who runs the fastest 40, right? Who's got the best bench press, the high jump, all these various shuttle runs and drills. I went through all that too when I got tested. But here's the thing. In order to enhance yourself, what do you think those kids are doing? They're all doing drugs. Every single one of them. because they think they're invincible. So what's the big deal about popping a pill or shooting yourself up? And this is what the NFL promotes. Look, it has nothing to do with your athletic ability, your football ability. You know, and they think because, oh, this guy ran so fast and this guy jumped so high, he's a superstar of some sort. And that just shows you how dumb all of those guys that are making their comments during the draft. I wanted to I'm like, here's a guy, he never wore a jockstrap in his life. Here's a guy never played football in his life. He's going to say because a guy can jump so high and run so fast, he's a worthy first round pick. And then the money that these kids are going to make is sick. It's crazy money. And that goes back to the argument that I've been making that there should be an NFL team in every single state. And every single state should enjoy the financial benefit of the revenues that come, not just 32 pencil net geeks that never played football in their lives. They should open up opportunities to the government-owned teams like the Green Bay Packers. They should open up ownership to some player groups that they could own a team. But there's so many positive things that will come from it. And more importantly, like we spoke about, is that would eliminate this whole NIL that everybody's so upset about, that these kids are amateur athletes getting paid in the NCAA. So if they and they're a monopoly, it's been proven. The current president of the United States beat the NFL in federal court in Washington D.C. back in 1986, and the federal court ruled that the NFL is a monopoly, but they only gave the USFL and Trump $1, right? But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. They're a known monopoly, so they need to be intervened. There needs to be 50 teams to spread those billions and billions and billions of dollars that they're making, and they're paying these guys $40-50 million a year to play football. Give me a break. They need to spread the love out. That's what needs to happen. And I would tell you, I'm talking with McCormick and I'm talking with the other guy, the Democratic senator. I'm having this conversation with them, but they just don't. They think that there's so many other things that are important. And besides that, Andrew, we got 40% of the Major League Baseball players today are from foreign countries. 40%, right? Hockey, 70%. We got the hockey playoffs going on right now. 70% of the hockey players are from Canada or Europe, right? Very wealthy countries. The baseball, they're from South America and Japan. But 40%, and then soccer, for God's sake. Soccer's like 75% foreign. So where is the opportunities for the American athletes, first and foremost, and all the billions of dollars that these leagues are making are going overseas. They're taking their money, and these foreign athletes, they ain't keeping it in America. They're taking it back to their foreign countries. So that's also a major issue in professional sports, is that they don't really care about the American athletes. The NFL don't care about their kids. They're juicing up. They're smoking dope. And what do they do with their tests? What was that? What do they do? Those leagues? I know you had some statistics. What are the fines?
The NBA doesn't test for marijuana at all. The NFL has a trace amounts. Hockey treats it as I forget what it even is. It's basically like Tylenol, and I don't know. It's very interesting, and I think. It's very interesting. MLB is obviously riddled with scandal of all kinds of steroids and drugs and all that. But listen, so this point I wanted to make is, regarding like opportunities and everything. So this year, currently, I think this was last week, Riley Leonard, who was the quarterback for Notre Dame 2 years ago, who was playing in the national title, and he is now the quarterback for he's on the Colts. He's making $4 million a year to be in the NFL for the Colts. He comes out and he goes, "Yeah, I was like making more money at Notre Dame." And then he goes, they're finishing the conversation, and this kid down in Ole Miss, what's his name, Trinidad Chambliss, who was obviously in the playoff this year. He's suing the suing the college of Ole Miss, suing the suing the NCAA so that he can stay in college versus going to the draft. He's on his like 6th year. So and that's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you're allowed to appeal. You're allowed to do it. He did everything right according to their rules. So he's suing because he has an NIL deal for $5 million this year. So he's not going to be a Fernando Mendoza going number 1 overall, getting all the deals and all that. So like he's making $5 million to stay in college, or you go to the league and make 2. Like, what's going on? We're in bizarro world, you know? And now, because in college, you don't have to be certified to be a quote-unquote agent to a college player. In the NFL, it's different. Like a Drew Rosenhaus, all these guys, you got to go through a whole certification process to be a part of the collective bargaining agreement, all that kind of stuff. In college, it is a free-for-all. Your roommate could represent you and make some of these guys, I think, the kid from Texas, Sorsby, right? I think Texas Tech. His agent was making like 25-30% of his $5 million deal. We're like, dude, the numbers, the math isn't mathing. That doesn't make sense, guys. What are we talking about?
Just to intercede, the agent for a basketball player for Illinois who is already from Europe and he's like 27 years old announced that he's going to be back for another year on the NIL and play basketball for Illinois. But we've had many subjects how the National Collegiate Athletic Association has fallen apart. I pray that the President of the United States is weighing in on that, and some others are weighing in on that. But I would just like to point out that, you know, more important than anything, man, God the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit's got to be at the center. You can't let the NFL become your golden calf. And that's my concern right now, man. They're playing these games on Sundays. They had 300,000 people come out, and this whatever you want to call them, the commissioner is hugging these kids like he loves them. But look, if they love them, take care of the guys that made you. Those old guys that played when I played. You know, take care of them. Make sure they got health insurance. Make sure that they got mental mental help, mental counseling if they need it. Get them in, do everything that you possibly can to support them. Don't hug some guy that's going to make $20 or $30 million like, oh yeah, I'm your uncle, I'm your daddy, or some kind of bull like that. And that's what makes me sick about the NFL. Don't let them become your golden calf, man. There's only one God, there's only one Son, and there's only one Holy Spirit, man, the Blessed Trinity. And that's where we all need to go in order to get ourselves right. Not go to the NFL or the NHL or the NBA or the hockey or the baseball. It is so pathetic right now. And the owners and the commissioners of all those leagues need to look out for the guys. They need to discipline them. If they're using drugs, straighten them out. You understand? Discipline them, man, because that's what's going to save their lives. Because we see right now, man, I see a very bad trend. I see these guys killing themselves, and it breaks my heart. You know, but I want to give a shout out right now to the Joe Moore offensive line camp. Andrew mentioned Notre Dame. He was the legendary offensive line coach for Notre Dame when they won their last national championship. And I would tell you, those offensive and defensive linemen that won that national championship is teaching at the camp. It's the Joe Moore OlineCamp.com, or call James E. Moore, Joe's son, at 412-818-2862. That's 412-818-2862. That's the Joe Moore O-Line Camp. And some of the legendary Pitt offensive linemen, Hall of Famers, a lot of great teaching going on there. And there's a lot of good teaching about Jesus too, man. It's a great camp. So go to the Joe Moore OlineCamp.com or call James E. Moore, man. It'll be a great decision for your youth or for your high school kids, man. We'd love to have them.
Absolutely. So we want to thank everyone for listening. And remember, again, you can always find us on YouTube and Spotify and across all the social media channels. And we love everyone reaching out, commenting, and, you know, keep continuing the conversation, because these are important conversations and they're ones you're not going to hear on ESPN or Fox Sports or anything like that. So, again, we want to thank everyone for listening. And until next time, have a great day.